Welcome. This video will guide you through the process of converting a Viking universal seal pump with packing or mechanical seal to one with an O-Pro barrier seal, like those used in Viking's 1124A series pumps. The following Viking pump models may be converted to the O-Pro barrier seal. Consult the appropriate technical service manual before you begin for safety information. In the existing pump, a fluid lubricated bushing has been pressed or shrunk into the bracket from the casing end to support the rotor shaft. The O-Pro barrier seal is inserted into the bracket from the shaft end. Tools required include a set of SAE Allen wrenches, a small screwdriver or cold chisel, a soft-headed hammer, a brass or hardwood bar, hook nose spanner wrench, packing hook, box end wrenches, and feeler gauges, as well as thread sealant, O-ring lubricant, and a grease gun. The sealant, lubricant, and grease should be food grade if the pump is to be used on food products like chocolate. A manual or hydraulic arbor press is also required to remove the existing bracket bushing. Parts required for conversion are all included in the O-Pro barrier seal kit from Viking Pump. They include the hardened iron O-Pro barrier seal gland, jack bolts for easy barrier seal removal, a set of O-rings, seal installation sleeve, gland bolts and nuts, pipe plug, grease relief fitting, an adapter fitting, grease fitting, as well as food-grade gaskets. While Q and QS size Viking Universal Seal pumps may be converted to the O-Pro barrier seal, they do require a special bracket in addition to the seal kit. First, bend up the tang on the lock washer. Insert the brass bar into the top port to prevent rotation of the rotor and shaft. Use the hook nose spanner to remove the lock nut and lock washer. Remove the brass bar. Loosen the two Allen head set screws on the face of the bearing housing. Remove the bearing housing. Use a 2-pin spanner wrench if needed. The O-Pro barrier seal kit includes replacement bearings and associated parts, but this video does not show bearing replacement. To learn bearing replacement procedures, please watch this video on the Viking Pump website. Remove the bearing spacer collar. Remove the half-round rings, except on the following sizes, which do not use them. Now, remove the lock nuts and the packing gland. Remove the shaft packing rings with a packing hook, being careful not to nick the inside of the bracket bore or the shaft. If no packing hook is available, the packing can be pushed out from the bushing end by first removing the head and rotor shaft. Remove the packing retaining washer. If the pump has a mechanical seal, remove that after removing the rotor shaft. Remove the head by unscrewing the head cap screws and carefully tilting the head back to ensure the idler gear does not slip off the pin and fall. Discard the old head gasket. Remove the rotor shaft and examine the shaft for wear. Excessive wear in the packing area may require replacement of the rotor shaft to ensure a good seal with the O-rings. The bracket bushing must be removed prior to reassembly. If the bushing is bronze or carbon graphite, it may be pressed out with a manual arbor press. Hardened iron bushings may require a hydraulic press with 10 to 20 ton capability. Tungsten carbide bushings are shrink fit and require heating the bracket in an oven to remove. With the standard bushing removed, the pump may be reassembled. Lubricate the O-rings and O-Pro barrier seal thoroughly with O-ring lubricant or grease. Install the inner dynamic O-rings and the outer static O-rings in the grooves. Then install the O-Pro barrier seal into the bracket, with the flat surfaces of the gland facing upward. This positions the lubrication groove at the opposite end in the 6 o'clock position. You will encounter resistance as the first outer O-ring enters the bushing bore area. Rotate the O-Pro barrier seal as needed, but don't hammer it or you may damage the O-ring. Once in far enough, you may be able to use the gland bolts to gently pull the barrier seal completely into the bracket bore. Use the nuts provided in the seal kit rather than the lock nuts that were used with packing. Tighten both nuts on the gland bolts completely. Slide the seal installation sleeve, if provided, over the shaft. The LS size pump does not use one. Then insert the rotor shaft, being careful not to allow the keyway or threads on the shaft to contact an O-ring. This may be taped over to ensure that O-rings aren't cut by sharp edges. Remove the seal installation sleeve. Use gasket sealant and a new gasket to reinstall the head and idler gear. Ensure that the crescent is opposite the sealing area between the ports. If the pump has a relief valve on the head, it should point toward the suction port. Now replace the half-round rings and bearing spacer collar. Replace the bearing housing. Tighten the lock nut and bend a tang from the lock washer into a slot to lock the bearing to the shaft. Now set the end clearance. Your Viking distributor can provide the correct settings. A separate video, Setting End Clearance, which provides more detail on this procedure, is available on the Viking Pump website. After setting the end clearance, tighten the bearing housing set screws and test rotation. Using a thread sealant, install the grease fitting into one of the holes in the O-Pro barrier seal gland. Either hole in the gland can be used for the grease fitting, which allows re-greasing from either side of the pump. Install a pipe plug into the other hole of the gland using thread sealant. Tighten the grease fitting and pipe plug with a wrench. Remove the pipe plug in the bracket for the grease relief fitting. The grease relief fitting location will vary depending on the pump size, so refer to the seal installation drawing provided in the seal kit for the proper grease relief fitting location for your pump. If a flush or suckback line was used from the casing to the bracket, remove and discard that and plug the port in the casing and bracket where it was removed. Again with sealant, insert the adapter fitting into the proper hole and tighten. Now grease the gland until grease comes out of the adapter fitting. After cleaning excess grease off the adapter, use thread sealant to insert the grease relief fitting into the adapter and tighten. Re-grease the gland until sufficient grease comes out of the grease relief fitting to ensure that all air has been purged. Rotating the shaft while greasing will help remove trapped air. Regular re-greasing is required, and discoloration of grease coming out of the relief fitting is an indication that O-rings may need to be replaced. Your pump is now ready to be reinstalled. Thank you for watching.